So when I had a daughter, I made great effort not to say anything about my body. And I thought, okay, this is great. I'm not talking about weight. I'm not talking about like body image. She should be protected in this lovely bubble, But then when she was, I think 4, she came out of the shower and she like grabbed her thigh and she's like, my thighs are so fat. So I was like, who said that to you? Like, I was just like, who said that to you?
Yeah.
Like I need to inform myself. I need to inform her. And so I did a bunch of research. I'm still reading and I'm still making notes just to educate myself and to educate her and like make sure she has the right tools, like mentally to like prepare her for out there.
Being an artist can be a heck of a ride, but you're not alone. On Journey of the Arts, we tell inspiring stories of artists and chat with those who support us on this path. I'm your host, Lola Opataya, writer, editor, singer, and all round lover of words. Come with me on the journey. Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of Journey of the Arts. In this episode, I'm joined by a children's book author who has written a delightful book about an often maligned part of the body. We're going to discuss Everybelly, which depicts a day in the life of a young girl, Maddie, who tells the reader about her neighbors while spending some time by the pool with her mother. My guest and author of Everybelly is Thao Lam. Thao is the author and illustrator of 8 award-winning children's books and the creator of animated short films. Her animated documentary, Boat People, was produced by the National Film Board of Canada in 2023. Welcome to the podcast, Thao.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat with you about everything that's children's books.
Yes, I'm so excited as well. I read Everybelly and I was just fascinated. I was like, how does somebody think about something so wonderful and so central? But we're gonna get right into it. But before we get started, if you're watching this, please know that this podcast is also available wherever you get your podcasts. So look up Journey of the Arts and listen on the go. Also, if you love the content, please subscribe to the channel or follow the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening from. This just ensures that we're connected so you're up to date with the latest content. All right, Tal, let's begin. One of the remarkable things about you is your relationship with picture books and how they helped you to learn English when you and your family came to Canada. Can you share a little bit about this and how you grew to become a storyteller?
Uh, like my family and I came to Canada when I was 3, and so we were starting over, and I didn't know English. So my like in school, we were exposed to like the back then there was school libraries, right? Like so a library that was actually in the school. And so that was wonderful because there was lots of trips to the library and we were able to get books out. And I would just sit there and I would flip through these picture books. And I'm a very visual person. So like this was just eye candy for me. And because I couldn't read, I would just like look at the pictures and I would make up the stories in my own head. So that was my love. That's how my love of storytelling started. And yeah, it's been even as an adult right now, you can find me in a bookstore or a library in the kids section. I'm usually not in any other section except that.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah, I can imagine. So, how then did you start to illustrate and then write? Or did you write first and then illustrate?
So I never pictured myself as an author, like doing the writing because
Mm.
I find writing very difficult and painful. I do not enjoy it at all. It's a process in which I talk to myself. I do a lot of pacing,
Yeah.
um, and I'm not trained as an author, so I didn't take any English courses or stuff like that. I'm trained as an illustrator. And so, and I always wanted to illustrate children's books. I went to art school and then I went to college for illustration. Um, and that was my goal. Like it's always been my goal. And I like would submit projects, send it out to publishers, get rejections. And it wasn't until I was, I think, 36. So I started late in life. Um, and I lost my job. I was an art buyer for educational publishing. So I was the coordinator that dealt with all the business side of buying illustrations for your math and science and reading programs. So any of the illustrations you find in there, I was the one who was like sourcing the artists, writing up the contracts, and putting it through its process. So I got a lot of exposure to different styles of
Mm.
illustration and met a lot of and worked with a lot of great artists. But then, I did that for a decade, and then the company I worked for went bankrupt, and I was just like, oh, what do I do now? Uh, and so I thought, okay, I'm gonna do one last ditch effort to like write a children's book or illustrate a children's book. And I did the classic kind of like Little Red Riding Hood, but like my version of it,
Right.
and it was wordless. And I sent it out. 'Cause, I did not like writing, right? And so I sent it out to I think 60 publishers
Wow.
that I really admire or wanted to work with. I was just like, and like, I read somewhere where you had to do your research, right? You have to find a publisher that does kind of publish books that are in the same genre or style that you work in, right? So I did my research, I sent it out, and then I waited and waited. And a couple of rejection letters came in. Some were encouraging where they like, I'm sorry, we're not currently looking for a book of this style, but we think you are really talented. Please continue the hard work, right? And so I got this, and then I got an email from Owl Kids Books, and they said they wanted to talk. And so I went in and I met Karen Borsman, and she said she really liked the idea and that she would love to an opportunity to work with me. And so then I went home and I waited and waited again for a
Wow.
follow-up email. And then I finally get an email where it says, I think we should talk. When you get that kind of let's talk response, it's
Right
never a
after
big
you just talked.
talk. And so I went in and they said, unfortunately, they found a story that was similar, that was published in New Zealand.
Mm.
And I was like, devastated. But before I left, I was just like, I'm not going to give up because I finally got my foot in the door, right? And I
Yeah.
wasn't. And I said, okay, I have this other idea of a skunk tied to a balloon. And she like, her response was, yeah, sure, let's do it. Like, I think this is great. And I said, that's all I have. Like, I had nothing else. That was like my last ditch
Yeah.
effort. And I said and then she said, go away like for a week, come back with some kind of plot points. And so I went away and I like made something up. I brought it back in and she loved it. And she
Wow.
said, let's do it. And so I did it.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so that's how I got started. And then the writing part, because that first book, A Skunk on a String, was a wordless picture book, right? So the writing part actually was kind of, I was, it didn't start until I started applying for a grant. So I started applying for a grant for what do you call it? Like to make a film, like boat people. I wanted to apply for a grant to make boat
Right.
people. And I was applying to the Canadian Art Council, the Toronto Art Council, like everybody who was giving out money. And I was like, I have this idea. And then I remember the replies coming back were like, well, we can't accept you as an artist because you illustrate and that we categorize that as commercial work.
Mm.
And then they said, we can't put you in the writers category either. And that's because you don't write. Like, and I said, what do you mean? Like, I have 3 books published. And they're like, no, there's no words in the books.
Right.
So we can't call you a writer. And I was, when I get mad, I just like I work harder,
Mm,
right? And so I was like, oh God. So I was like, okay, I am going to try to write so that I can apply for this grant, or
mhm,
like at least put it down on my resume, like one book in which I can call myself a writer, right? And so that's what got me started writing,
right.
right? And then I was lucky because at the same time, that line of "My cat looks like my dad" came out. Like that line got dropped onto my lap about the same time, and so I was like, okay, I'll make this as my first like
Mm.
fully written story. So that's how it got started.
Wow, that is impressive. It's such a story of resilience because, like you said, when you get mad, and I'm probably paraphrasing wrongly, but when
Right?
you get mad, you go to work.
Yeah, yeah,
And that is usually not how most people react. Like they get mad and they give up and,
right.
get sad. But I love that, resilience, that bounce back that you have. That's fascinating. So let's go to Everybelly now. And Everybelly tells the story of humanity through, like I said earlier, an often maligned part of the body, the belly. In the book, there are bellies with scars, tattoos, stretch marks, six packs, insulin monitors, growing bellies, all kinds of bellies.
Mhm.
And with this, there's a clear message of inclusion. Every belly matters. How did you come upon this idea?
Um, this idea was sitting with me for quite a while, like just the idea of talking about body image.
Hmm,
I knew I wanted to do a book about body image because this was something that personally was uh, very important to me. And like, I grew up with a mom who was very critical of my appearance and like the shape of me and the size of me and the height of me. And so like I was traumatized. And so, but when I had a daughter, when I had a daughter, I was I made great effort not to say anything about my body. Like,
hmm,
I didn't make any comments. We don't even have the thing that weighs you at home, like nothing. And I thought, okay, this is great. I'm not talking about weight. I'm not talking about like body image. She should be protected in this lovely bubble, But then when she was, I think 4, yeah, I think it was 4, she came out of the shower and she like grabbed her thigh and she's like, my thighs are so fat. And my gut reaction was to punch somebody. Like, I really did. I really wanted to, like, hurt somebody because I was like, and I remember my response to her was, I was um, "Who said that to you?" I'm saying it calmly here, but what I said, I was just like, "Who said that to you?
yeah.
Like, give me a name so I can go punch this person." And she was like, "Nobody said." Like, she's like, "No," and I was like, "What?" And it, because we don't watch television. Like, I regulate, like, age appropriate, like, and I make sure we have conversations. If she hears something, we have conversations. And so that really, and I said, my God, like 4? I don't even remember when I was first like concerned about my
Right.
body, right? And so that really hit me hard. And then like there was another incident where she got this like for Christmas, her friend brought her this like sparkly dress, right? And like that's not my taste. So I didn't buy it. Like, so this is her first sparkly
Yeah.
dress, right? And it was pink and it was sparkly. And she put it on and she was just like, twirling and looking at herself. And she looked so like proud and pleased. Um, and I said, okay, Maddie, you want a picture with it? Like, I can take you a picture of it. And she's like, okay, but take it from this angle. Cause I don't want my belly.
Oh, wow.
This child, she is like, I don't know. Okay, I don't want to use the word slim, but like she's a child, right? And that was like maybe when she was like 6. And I was just, and so, these things build up and
Yeah.
they start bottling right here. And I was like, okay, and I started researching. I was like, okay, let's research
Mm,
um, and find out how to have a conversation with her. Because obviously, protecting her, not bringing that weight thing. I don't even remember what that word is now. Like that thing of weight, like
the
not,
bathroom scale?
yeah, there you go. Thank you. Yes. Like it's so not in my vocabulary because I intentionally like leave it out. A bathroom scale. I said, like, obviously this is not helping. Like I need to inform myself. I need to inform her.
Mm,
I need to like and so I did a bunch of research, and I'm still reading. I'm still reading, and I'm still making notes, and just to educate myself and to
mm.
educate her, and like make sure she has the right tools, like mentally, to like prepare her for out there,
Yeah.
right? So that's how I started the book.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I have a daughter as well. And I think as a mom, it really just comes out of nowhere.
Mm,
This sudden awareness of their bodies. Like, my belly's too big. My cheeks are too big. Why is
mm,
my nose this way? Why are my eyes like this? Why is my hair like this? So,
right.
and I think it's a constant, I guess, constant battle to help sustain that self esteem. So, thank you on behalf of all the moms for doing some research and writing this book. So, in the illustrations, I find that the characters are in spare garments,
Mm,
and it's as though they've been deliberately stripped of any superficiality so that we can see their humanity.
mm.
Was this deliberate? And can you give me a sneak peek into your mind as you illustrated the book?
Well, obviously we're talking about bellies, and I wanted a scenario in which a kid would be exposed to a lot of bellies, right? And well, the pool is, the easiest, the most obvious one, also, right? And every time I approach a story, I try to make it, and my editors will laugh at this. I try to make it as simple as possible because I would say I'm the most laziest person you will encounter as an artist. So I usually just try to go from point A to point B. I just want to get the concept across. And so I just said, okay, we're not gonna weave a complicated story here.
Right,
We want to talk about bellies, which is the place that where a kid would see the most bellies, and then she's literally just going across the pool, like from home to across the pool.
right,
But that's the extent of the storyline,
right.
right? So uh and then as I was again researching about like different swimsuit styles, and I didn't want it to become like, because some swimsuits can get very provocative, right? So I was like, all right, so now I didn't want the swimsuits to become the main topic either, and
Right.
we were talking about bodies, and 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 then I didn't want to, even though we're talking specifically about bellies, there
Mm,
are certain parts of everybody's body where they might not be as comfortable with, right? And so I wanted as much exposure to other body parts, right? And then uh, I intentionally made it so that everybody's headless
yes. Yes.
because it was less work. But also because I wanted it from a child's perspective,
Right.
right? As a child, like the first thing they see eye level
Yeah.
is a person's belly,
Yeah.
right? And so I wanted the story from a kid's perspective. Like, at what point do kids, when a child is a baby,
Mhm.
everybody's, oh, that child's so cute. Look at those cheeks and look at those rolls and look at that belly. Like, it's so cute. And then at some point, you then encounter the child again years later, and you're like, oh, that child has. belly. That child needs to run.
Yeah.
You know, like what if you, like, I don't really
Yeah.
understand the logic. It's the same child. It's the same child,
Yeah.
right? And so I wanted from a child's perspective in which they're like, everybody looks the same to me. Everybody
Right.
has a belly. Everybody has like arms and legs. I mean, not everybody, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah. The belly's the most, I guess, just distinct part of a human being, especially for a child.
yeah.
And I love, I think it centered the story so well because we're not distracted by other things. It's
Mhm.
just the bellies. And that's what the child is seeing as she goes from person to person.
Mhm.
Even though these people are actually, drinking something by the pool, reading a book, there's a mom who's even breastfeeding, but we don't really see well, we do see those things, but the focus is not taken off the central issue of the belly. So I think you did that really well.
Thank you.
Now let's talk about Maddie, the
Yeah.
main character in the story.
Mhm.
I love the fact that she has a healthy association with food. And there's a part in the book where she lists all the wonderful things she can stuff her belly with. And they include all kinds of diverse dishes as well. So it's not just dishes from a certain part of the world. And when we think about the idea of a perfect belly, a certain disdain for food is often close by.
Mhm.
But here Maddie's saying, as long as I have room in my belly,
Right.
I can love all these wonderful foods. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's true. Like, we eat first to survive, and then we eat second to enjoy, right?
Mm,
Like we can go really deep into like, I don't know, is this a kid friendly show? Like, somebody on death row gets to pick their last meal,
right.
right? And then or people in third world countries who would like a simple piece of bread, like, and here we are intentionally being, I don't want to say picky, but we are being, I know.
I do get it though. I do
Yeah.
get what you're saying. Like we have the privilege, right?
Yes, we have the privilege. And then living in a city like Toronto, we have a variety of different options, and we have different cultures, and a great, like, I personally, and I was raised like this, where um, a great way to introduce a person to a culture is through their food. And so I
Right.
raised Maddie the same way. I mean, she has yet to like acquire a taste for spices. So like I have to eat Indian food on my own. But it's like once she opens that gateway, I'm like, we're gonna eat everything, right?
Yeah.
And I try not to, like, I teach her not to be picky. I'm like, you try this today and then you'll try it again tomorrow. Like your taste buds might change, right? And it has a couple of times where she says no to something, and then like a year later, a couple months later, she'll say yes to it, right?
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe she might have turned down carrots because I am terrible at cooking carrots. But she loved it that somebody else's at somebody else's house,
Right.
a parent might have done it differently, and she'd be like, oh yeah, I
Right.
love carrots. But it's sorry, I'm on a rant. I totally forgot your question.
We're talking about the association of food with bellies
Yes.
and what your thoughts are. And you were saying how and but you are actually making a point related to the question. But I love what you're saying about teaching your daughter how to enjoy different foods.
Mm,
And it's I think it's still the same conversation around inclusion and diversity, right? Like
right.
this is the gateway into a person's culture. Respect their food. You can try it. You don't have to like it, but
Mhm,
try it. And we can see that in the character. This character is eating all kinds of things,
mhm.
even things that I have never seen or heard of before, right?
Yeah.
Because they are just like bellies are different, foods are different, right? And some foods are spicy, some foods are sweet, some foods are savory, some bellies are flat, some bellies are half folds, some bellies are big, some bellies are, all kinds of things. So thank you for sharing that. So, figuratively speaking, the belly is where everyone starts.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, we all end up in the belly of the earth. So, there's this
Mm-hmm.
circle. And in the book, this circle is present as well. The character starts out paying homage to her mother's belly, where
Mm-hmm.
she started, and then she ends up declaring love for her mother's belly above all else in the end. And there's such a strong message of motherhood and centeredness the centeredness that mothers give children. Can
Mm-hmm.
you speak a little about this, especially as it relates to you being a mom?
Well, I don't know like if I went out intentionally with that idea, but as a mom, we give birth and our bellies change shape, and I know that like when Maddie, she still does sometimes. She'll grab my belly and squeeze, and she's like, "Oh, this is great, right?" Like it's her comfort, like it's her blanket,
Yeah,
And I know and I'm always embarrassed and very uncomfortable when she does that. I'm not like, come on, don't touch me. Um, but and then I'm like, oh well, what am I telling her that I'm uncomfortable?
right,
Like, so I had to really learn, and I'm still learning that when she grabs my belly, that it's not like she adores it.
right.
It's not like my mom who grabs my belly and goes, "You need to work out," right?
Right,
Like, it's
right.
a totally different thing. And so I have to like try to disassociate what Maddie's doing and what my mom is doing. And um, so that it basically is because the belly is amazing. I mean, babies don't come from bellies. Let's put that
Yes,
out.
yes,
We
but
get a lot of emails.
figuratively,
I get a lot of emails like, "Oh, that's not scientifically correct." And that is a debate that I did have with my editor where we're like, "Okay, I really like this joke. I want to
right?
keep it in, but I'm sure we're gonna get a couple of emails." Um, but yeah, like this part of us are our bodies. Okay,
Yeah,
let's not say our bodies. Our bodies are amazing. Look what
yeah,
we can do with it. It repairs itself. It knows what to do. We just have to take good care of it,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I really like what you're saying about establishing a healthy relationship with your daughter when it comes to your belly. Because I think about when I had my first child
Mm-hmm.
and how distraught I was at how my belly had transformed. So
Mm-hmm.
my belly was as flat as a board, it was perfect, right? It was the perfect belly. And now I had this child whom I loved,
Right.
but when I looked at my belly, I didn't love my belly. I didn't love how nobody told me that my belly was, I mean, it's not like it wasn't obvious. Like I did see people who had had children, but I don't think I was prepared for how much my belly had changed
Yeah.
after I'd had my child.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's a wonderful thing that you are doing with your daughter, and even for anybody who's reading this book, to be able to know right from the jump, like bellies are different and your belly can be flat today. Like some people do bounce back
Yeah.
after having kids and their stomachs are their bellies are as flat as they were before they had kids.
Right.
But some people, I think for the most part, don't have that bounce back, right? You have to learn to love the belly the way it is now.
Right.
And some people have a lot of stretch marks.
Yeah.
Some people there's a transformation that goes on there. And I think one of the things I love about this book is as you talk about, or as Maddie introduces us to all these neighbors, it's almost like she's telling us, you need to learn to love your body in whatever season you are. And,
Right.
whatever color you are. So whether you're old or you're young or you're pregnant or you're breastfeeding or you're black or you're brown or you're white, you're anything else,
Right.
right? Like I love that healthy relationship. And I just wanted to point that out and
Mhm.
also thank you because you may not have thought about it, but I think that there's something very crucial about that awareness and that centeredness that mothers can bring to their daughters in this case, especially from that young age. I mean, I remember when I was growing up, and I was one of the darkest people in my class. I grew up in Nigeria.
Okay.
Nigeria is full of brown skinned people, right? And I was still one of the darkest in the class. And I remember saying to my mom one day, "Oh, I'm so dark. Why am I so dark?" And she said to me, "You're gorgeous. Like your brown skin, it glows. It's like ebony. It's beautiful. It's shiny. Like you don't need to put on." Because I was trying to put on makeup, and she was like, "You don't need to put on a ton of makeup to look
Right.
good. Like you're beautiful the way you are."
Right.
And to this day, I do the barest minimum when it comes to makeup. Like I'm just like powder, lipstick, I'm gone, or just powder and lip gloss or something, because it's been so ingrained in my mind from when I
Right.
was a child that my brown skin is beautiful and it's perfect the way it is, and it doesn't need embellishments.
Right.
So that's why when I saw this message, that Maddie's trying to tell us, and how everything circles back to her mother.
Right.
I thought about that experience of mine when I was growing up too. So
Right. Nice.
thank you.
Yeah, I feel like we spend so much energy and time and mostly emotional space and headspace on something that we can possibly not change, right? Like
Mm,
I remember early on trying to my response to anything about Maddie body wise was like, Maddie, it's genetics, right? Like she'll be like, oh, my friend is so tall, and I'm like, Maddie, look at her parents.
yeah.
How tall is her dad, and how tall is her mom, and then look at me. I'm like, you might get the other parents' genes, but like I can't change my height, right?
Yeah.
And so, and she'll be like, oh well, my hair is black, and I'm like, okay, then look at my hair, or look
Yeah.
at Jess's hair, and tell me like what color is that?
Yeah.
Because it's genetics, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a policy like it's everybody would feel much more relaxed
Yeah. For
if
sure.
you forgive yourself and
For
realize
sure.
like there's certain things you can't change, right? And
Yeah.
this is just how it rolls,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I totally agree. So Tal, what are some challenges that you faced as you developed this work? Because I
Mm.
know that you've just said that you don't really like writing, but you do love illustrating. So what are some challenges that you faced?
Um, so I I like illustrating, but I don't
Right.
like illustrating people.
Oh, okay. So what do you like illustrating then?
I don't know what I love ideas. I love trying to figure out how a story works.
Right.
I like the problem solving aspect of it.
Right. Right.
Uh, and that is where I like really I really enjoy. And
Right.
but once everything is in place, I'm just like, all right, I'm done. Like let's move on to the next project. But I do this one was a hard one because it's hitting the right notes, making sure I didn't want to be lecturing people.
Right.
I also didn't want to repeat what was already out there. I wanted my perspective on it. I wanted to make sure that, like that I'm not offending anybody,
Right.
right? Because people can take offense to, like, we're talking about body images.
Right.
Everybody's super sensitive about it. Uh, and so that's why I did like a lot of research on this. And then we also had a consultant, or I don't know what they call it, but somebody else who was like an expert in how to talk to children about bodies and stuff like that, and take a look at it to make sure that I wasn't being insensitive to um, the audience or the readers. And so and since it's a book for kids, I like, yeah, kids can will pick up anything you give them. And so
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that I gave them something that was helpful, or at least start a conversation that would be helpful. So that. to me, the hardest part of this writing this was the being sensitive
Mm,
to 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 everyone, right?
yeah, and I think you captured that so well. I think you really did. So, Tao, as we round up, I have one last question for
Good.
you. What's one word that you hope children feel when they read your book?
I hope they walk away hungry.
That is not the answer I was expecting.
No, because that's a good sign, right? It
Yeah,
means, they
yeah,
care enough and go, okay, I think I'm gonna go feed my belly. I'm gonna go
yeah,
take care of my belly. I'm gonna go nourish myself, right? But we also have to be realistic, which is like they're kids.
yeah,
Like that in the story, Maddie's like, I want to eat jelly beans, like
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. She did go on a lot about that. Yeah,
But I do wait. I do hope they are more. I don't know. I want kinder to themselves, kinder to
mm,
their bellies. Like there's lots of information out there, lots of opinions out there, and the only opinion that really matters is yours.
right,
And I also tell Maddie that a lot. I'm like, I can give you a lot of advice and a lot of suggestions, but at the end of the day, it's yours. Like it's what you put in you and what you give out, right? And so, I don't.
right, right. So hungry, hungry is a good one. Yes, I've never had that one, but it's a good one. Well, thank you, Tao, so much for coming to chat with me today. Um, I have had a wonderful time. This has been a delight. And I will leave all the links to your book in the description box or the show notes for anyone who is curious about this book. And I really do hope that they get it. It's beautifully illustrated, beautifully told. And you will see yourself in the book, is what I would say to anyone who's wondering about it. So thank you once again.
Oh no, thank you for the support and giving artists and authors a place to talk about children's books. So thank you.
You're very welcome. On the next episode, I'll be chatting with another inspiring artist. But before then, I'd love to hear from you. Tell me what you think about this show and this episode. Feel free to drop me a note here or send me a DM on Instagram at Journey of the Art Blood. Finally, please subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, or follow and rate the show if you're listening elsewhere. Help me connect with other artists who need a dose of inspiration today. Until next time, stay on the journey of your art.